Welcome to Riverbend Talent on WBGZ. Brought to you by the Halpin Music Company.
Another Thursday night in the Riverbend, another sea shanty sing-along already underway down at Morrison's Irish Pub until 9 o'clock. Riverbend Talent brought to you by the Halpin Music Company and by Mr. Matt Van Voorhis of Macias Insurance. We got the open mic possibly tonight down at the conservatory with Scotty the Hottie, Space Wolf Miller. And we got the truckers at Fast Eddie's until 10 o'clock. We got Blake Volts underway at Big Daddy's until 9. Sarah Shoemake, 5 to 8, doing the happy hour at Stagger Inn again. In Edwardsville tonight, Tim Crosby underway at Peel Woodfire Pizza in Edwardsville until 9 o'clock. Ryan Holting underway until 9 o'clock at the Cabin at Judy Creek. And Gavin O'Brien started at 5:30. We'll go till 8:30 tonight at the Prairie Inn in Dorsey. And now it's time for Lydia's father.
It's a good way to be known.
Yes.
It's out of all the names I've been called, which there are a lot of them, that's one of the few I'd be like, wow, it makes me sound legitimate almost.
I know.
It almost makes me sound like a real person. But I'm not. I'm just a cartoon character, so.
You are a real person. I just want to make sure you know.
Thank you, man.
No problem.
Thank you, man. I don't feel real most of the time. I feel a little bit more like myself now than I did earlier, though. Like, it was good to have the drive-in.
Yeah.
So, man, it was one of those days. I assume you were probably a little bit the same, where you're like looking at the weather going, this is the last day I want to be outside for weeks. And so for the past 3 days, I've just been trying to kill it outside, and I'm too old for that.
I just been flipping it all day. That's what I do.
Flip it.
So everybody's talking about it's going to make it happen.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I flip it. I'm like, this ain't happening. You know, they're going to mess it all up again, and we'll get just an inch or so, and then we'll all be like, well, we got a day off for it, but, you know.
See, I've been playing more the Murphy's Law. Like, the more I prepare, if I get enough firewood, and if I get the salt ready, nothing will happen. It'll just be a big bunch of nothing.
Yeah, that's
so
kind of what I'm getting at. And, you know, a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight is probably already canceled because, you know, it's supposed to be bad, so we can't do things.
Yeah, but that's
We're
tomorrow.
going to get real insight on that tonight because our guest tonight books shows all the time and has already made cancellations for this weekend. And he's a returning guest, too.
He is a returning guest, and before we get into it, before we meet him...
Before,
I want to say one thing about this guest. As you say, he's a businessman. He's doing this, and he's made cancellations already.
Member of Harvest
He wasn't
Drive.
smart enough to cancel this show. he didn't think it through.
He had
It's like,
nothing else to do because since everything got canceled.
well,
so,
I assume that's what I figured. He was like, why would I come back there? You know,
he's back to work after his band retired. Doc Holliday, right?
Which is we had him on years ago with the Doc Holliday band. So returning to the show, Mr. Ray Warren. Good to see you, Ray.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah,
but he's not here to represent a band like Harvest Drive, which he's in.
right.
He's here to talk about being the general manager of the Mill.
But
in Granite City.
I'm going to disagree and say he's here to talk about all of it.
Well, that's true.
Because in the end, you know, we're going to talk about as much as we can.
I'm looking
in the next
at the
55
stack
minutes.
of shows they got coming up at the Mill, and I'm telling you, we're going to be talking about the Mill.
It's going to be hard to get there. And I'll say this also before we dive into this. As a person who has thrown shows and thrown festivals, I was given a piece of advice by fellow festival throwers back when I was first starting. They said, if you really want to come out and make some money and without establishing yourself, without spending years establishing yourself, start with a bunch of tribute bands. Because you get the name of that band for the price of something less than that.
Great advice. Too bad you didn't follow it.
I was going to say, I look back now and go, man, I probably could have survived if I would have listened to that advice. And instead I was like, hey, let's get a bunch of original bands. And, you know,
a lot of those original bands we grew up with are basically tribute bands now.
Yeah. That is true. Well, and this is something we've learned in 10 years of doing this show. Most of the people that, if we get down to it, they almost all started with punk rock, heavy style music because it's easy to play. It's three chords and the truth is all you need, and you can scream it. And now most of them are playing bluegrass and country, and in the end, what's bluegrass but 3 chords and the truth as fast as you can play it. I
Right.
mean, it's the same thing, just with a different vernacular, we'll say.
Big difference from 16 to 26.
Well,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go through a lot of music during that 10-year
Those years,
period.
yeah.
And I'm still strong and into the metal, whether you are or not, Big Ben.
I have my days when I still go back to that. I actually busted out. It might not be considered metal by some, but I busted out Hawkwind last week and was listening to Hawkwind.
Well, you see, and that's the thing with metal. I mean, what is metal? It goes all different directions. I mean, they called us metal, but I never considered us metal.
I considered
Not like
you,
the bands we were playing with, the guys that were screaming like you.
I considered you avant-garde.
Well, we were going
Should
for
have been
more
on
of
guard. Should have been on guard, really.
we were trying to be prog, but we're not very good. So,
We wanted to be Rush, but we can't play in 7/12
for
time.
sure.
Wow.
We did cover a lot of Rush. So
Well,
I'm just saying, we kind of did.
I was once removed from a band, and the guy who said, we don't want you to be the singer anymore, said, you can't consistently sing Rush and Journey good. Who can? Steve Perry can't consistently sing Journey good.
I could.
Well,
do it.
you
Back,
could,
back
but I
in the day,
couldn't.
I could hit a few of those notes. That was,
See, that was it. I could do it every now. On a good day, I might pull off Spirit of the Radio, maybe, but not really.
on a good day, I still play in tune. And
There you go.
Nice. So you are Mr. Ray Warren here with us, general manager of what is known as the Mill, which I got a sneak peek of from Mike Parkinson, the mayor, as it was being built. And I loved the way he described it with the stained glass windows and everything. He said it's going to be like a mini Ryman.
yeah.
And I like that description when he said it, because that's like a pretty cool thing to think about. Since then, it has gone through a few phases, and you've landed yourself running the joint over there for good or for ill.
Yeah, I
What has
don't know.
brought you to this lowly place? Sir? No, seriously, what a good gig to have, because that is a beautiful venue. And
That's
there
the
must
key.
be some money behind it, because you're bringing in pretty good acts.
It's our challenge was to create a community resource. It's not just a venue.
No,
It's
there's-
where people have their wedding receptions. It's where city folk get a group together, have a meeting. There's a lot of different. It's a multi-use facility, and Mike had an incredible vision for. I mean, who's doing that around here?
So,
To bring all those pieces together for the community.
and I don't know exactly where it is right now. You can fill me in on this. But when Mike took me through the building, Mike Parkinson, the mayor, and it was under construction. They were just tearing down the old stuff. It was there was pipes everywhere. But he was giving me his vision, and for those of you who haven't been down there and don't know, it is a multi-purpose building, like you say. Like we walk through the main room.
Yeah.
Beautiful room, big stage. I haven't even, this is just his vision. And then there's a bar through these doors where you could have a band playing at the bar. You have the doors closed. You have another band playing here. Now, as he walked me through the building, there was office space. What he said was going to be turned into office space. So is that happening?
It's a green room.
Okay, so what was going to be some office space
Yeah.
at that time, it just hasn't
a-
got that far yet.
It's a gorgeous green room instead of office space.
Okay.
And then there's a nice outside of the reception hall in the back of the building. There's a nice what we call the VIP area where people can stage who are going to use the green room if we have multi acts. And it's just another little meeting space. 10, 12 people. It's just so cool. The whole vibe of that place.
Yeah.
Is we belong.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Well,
Great
and there was
idea
a-
to have a green room. That's one of the knocks on the amphitheater here.
There was a third stage there down in the basement. At the
Yeah,
time.
we're not utilizing the basement yet.
Not there
Not
yet.
yet.
But to think about that, just a building sitting in the middle of Granite City with 3 possible stages.
Yeah.
They could all be working at the same time, and
Yes.
that is an incredible thing.
We've
right
done
there.
that. We've had shows in the auditorium while there's a wedding reception going on in the reception hall.
Wow. And so if Pete, just right off the bat, let's go ahead, and we're going to hit this more than once, but if people are going, wow, I want to look at this place. I have a wedding coming up. I have an event coming up. How do they get a hold of you? What is the contact?
They can just go to the website and go to themill.events. Hit the contact form. It'll ask what are you interested in? What's your contact info? It'll send it right to me.
There you go. Because that's one of those things, again, a little known secret, sort of, that doesn't need to be a secret.
Right. Exactly.
Because how many people, like, until you said that, I was brought in on this thing at the beginning and was told about it, but as things keep going, and the idea that you can rent this mini Ryman, this beautiful place, to have that's something that I think everybody needs to know.
Themill.events. That's the website, Pigpen. That's why you don't know some of this stuff, because you don't visit websites.
The internet doesn't like me. Every time I
he visits websites, you just can't say.
I set him up there.
Scrub your browser, people.
Yes.
Scrub your browser.
Don't forget.
You think it's clean, it's not. Scrub it.
Yeah. Little different title for the website, though, with .event
instead of .com or
right.
Yeah.
We'll
dot
point that
events.
out.
So there you go. The Mill. .event.
Yeah.
And
you should go down and check out a show, Pigpen. I have several.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to see Bonnie down there, didn't you?
No, I did not see Bonnie down there. I've seen her someplace else, but right across the street is where they have music in the park. And I'm pretty sure during that you guys are open, right?
We have the bar open during music in the park. Yeah, any event down there will have the bar open.
Okay, so again, I'm going off my memory, but if I remember right, when we when we sort of walked out of the front of this building, and it's an old church. Correct?
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
It's a huge, So when you walked out, there was this like triangle piece.
That's Civic Park, yeah.
And that's where the music in the park is?
Yeah, during the summer.
It's like basically right out the front door.
Right out the front door.
The parade's going to go right through there, too,
The parade stops there, like in Mardi Gras. The parade will stop there, and then we have a big heated tent that opens into the garage door that comes in the bar. We're going to have Sweetie and the Toothache start at 3 o'clock.
That's right.
Great band. And then we'll have John Shanahan start at 6:30.
Right.
Finish out Mardi Gras.
And I think it opens at like 1.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So it's a little chilly that day.
Get your butt in there.
Yeah.
And when you guys really kicked off your Mardi Gras a few years back, and it hit big pretty quick. I mean, that was a monstrous event the first year.
Yeah.
So what is this, like the third year now?
I think so.
30. The Mill, a big part of that. I mean, that's kind of like the kickoff point.
That whole
of it all.
district down there is a big part of it. The parade comes right down and ends at Civic Park, and there's vendors and local businesses. We try to do that for every event we have.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up Mike Parkinson, the mayor. You brought up his vision. His vision wasn't just about the Mill.
No.
It was about the downtown area, and really, Granite City is sort of been this city that has been a steel mill city forever, but it's sort of that's kind of a thing of the past almost. Not that this, you know what I mean? That's
right.
It's not the same booming industry it once was in this region. So he's trying to redefine a city basically that has been the same definition for generations. That's not an easy task to undertake, and I think his vision of it is a pretty solid way to go about it.
You got to have good leadership to do that.
Yeah.
And you got to communicate well to the citizenry. Here's where we're going. Here's why. And I think Mike does an excellent job. He's one of the best speakers I know.
Yeah. Super nice guy. With, like I say, with a vision to try and lead that city of Granite City into the next era, basically.
Of success.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And as he shared his vision with me up in his office, I smiled because I was like, wow, this guy's got a lot going. And when we walked through the mill, it was amazing. So tell us a little bit about. I mean, we were talking about it before on air, and I kind of brought it up, skimmed over. You're doing a lot of tribute acts down there at this time, and
yeah, we were doing more when we started. So when I got hired, the mill wasn't very active. It was doing a few events here and there, and the vision was create a place for Granite City, so you don't have to jump in your car and drive 45 minutes across the bridge to go to a show. Trying to create an area for the citizens to to enjoy entertainment that's not going to break the bank, and they don't have to leave town. So we've done everything, and we're continuing to do everything. We got comedy shows, not just tribute acts. We have national artists that, if I can get them at a good rate routing through St. Louis, I can get them to play at the Mill. I just had T.G. Shepherd there a few months ago, 21 #1 hits in country. I had the Dillards, the Cleverleys, who are an international act. So what happened was, when I got hired, I just got on the phone and called everybody I used to work with in Nashville and Branson and said, you got to help me out here. You know? And it's worked out really well. So we do tribute shows. And tribute shows are huge. It's a huge business. It's like I said earlier, a lot of the older rock bands are basically tribute bands now. And I think people want to relive that experience more so than see that artist. I still want to see that artist if they can pull it off. But a lot of people want to hear that same sound and feel that same energy they remember. So the tribute acts work good.
It's funny you say if they can pull it off, because I was looking through the list, and there was one band in here that I thought they can probably do it better than the original band. And that's because they're getting a lot of bad press right now. Journey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of bad press right now.
So,
Well, here's part of it, too. As we're talking, it's kind of rolling around in my head, and I thought, here's the thing about some of it. Some of these great rock acts are aging gentlemen.
Yes.
And ladies. And the energy might not be there. So we were talking about the Grateful Dead right before we went on air. As a Deadhead, I can tell you, when Dead and Co. came out, I had a lot of friends call them Slow and Co. Oh, it's slow. And it took me years to see them. And when I did, it was very obvious. The beats per minute's there. The drummers are on beat. But Bobby Weir is an aging guy who just passed away last week or whatever. I loved him, seen him live many times. But he used a trick where he would start his vocal line a little early and end it a little bit late, and make it work. But it gave the song an overall slow feeling, even though. And so when you go see a younger band, the energy that you remember from that band as a child is more there.
More there. They're on top of the beat.
I heard that Devo, this just came to mind, I heard Devo actually performs as a Devo tribute band because they make more money. I don't know if that's true. That's the real guy.
They probably actually play their songs.
Yeah.
But
some of these bands that are older now are not playing their songs. They're using voice tracks, and they're getting caught.
Yeah.
They're getting caught.
Yeah, so Milli Vanilli was just decades ahead of their time. Man.
Exactly.
I think they're so far ahead of the curve. What was the one girl who monkey
Steve Perry.
Yeah, Steve Perry. There was a girl who on Saturday Night Live got caught and monkey danced her way off stage or whatever. Just did she totally messed up her voice tracks.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of these tribute bands you got coming in.
No, let's talk about something that's not a tribute band coming in, because we got to start at the top of the list.
All right, let's do that.
You visited the website, right?
Oh, I was half my day was spent on the internet. Let's put it that way.
So what's an oxymoron?
That is the band that's coming to the Mill.
No, but every time I hear this combination of words,
oxy.
I think of
You think of me?
Odd way to say something, and that is Jumbo Shrimp Band.
That's great. There it is. That is an
Jumbo Shrimp Band. Now, odd, Jumbo and Shrimp put together, but quick guess, what kind of band is it?
Cajun. Oh, I don't know.
A little bit, yeah. They do some Cajuns, some Zydeco, some Jimmy Buffett style stuff, some originals.
All right.
Yeah, it's kind of a beach vibe band.
Okay.
They're going to be February 7th, just so we get caught up.
I've heard that name, and I honestly have never seen them.
You've ordered that.
I've ordered
Yeah.
that. Let me tell you something. But I seriously, when I hear the name Jumbo Shrimp, my brain goes Cajun right off the bat.
Right.
For whatever reason, I don't know why.
They got a great logo with a big shrimp on it, And they do some
Jumbo
original stuff
shrimp.
too, which I'm really interested in hearing their original stuff. They approached me about doing a show in the Mill, and I was like, "Yeah, I heard their stuff. So let's give it a whirl. See what happens." They're a regional act.
Okay.
Travel around. It's going to be a great show.
And just so everybody knows, if you go to the mill.events, there are tickets for a lot of these shows. This one here's a $20.15 ticket.
Yeah.
It's an 8 o'clock show on the 7th of February. So we're going to have that theme kind of as we go through it. Now we can move on to a tribute band.
Well, first, let's talk about what you said. You brought up that they play original music. They play covers and original music, which to all you kids out there, it's a good trick. Learn it.
Yes.
Because if you're going to write original music, if you can throw some covers around it, people are more accepting. That's all.
You get more gigs, too.
You get more gigs for sure.
I've been doing this, playing for over 45 years out, and do I want to sing Brown Eyed Girl again? Probably not.
Nah.
But I'm there to entertain and do what they want.
Yeah. And I love Van Morrison, and I would much rather, there's so many Van Morrison songs I would rather sing.
Yes.
But
it's funny that song gets brought up because it's usually Mustang Sally.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Or Freebird. When we played, it was Man in a Box.
Oh, yeah.
That was one we always had.
That one doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me. It's just the big request.
It is.
Those are the ones.
Request. It's a great song.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat a great song.
See,
I love Freebird, but
now when people would say play Man in the Box, we'd play Damn the River and just keep moving on. Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
We'll get to that.
Speaking of getting to, the tribute band.
All right, let's
next
do it.
on the list, February 13th, 8 o'clock. Rumors. Who is it?
It's got to be some Fleetwood Mac
You
right
got
there.
it.
Yeah. And it's funny because just as I pulled in, my phone rang and it said Meatwood Flack. And I had to be my buddy Scott Marlin calling. I'll call you back, Scott. So, seriously, so Rumors, Fleetwood Mac, when they coming?
The 13th of February.
February 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's one of those, you got to have some vocals in your band. There's a lot of vocal.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of harmony.
They're out of L.A.
Yeah.
So, a
They
touring
look the
group.
part. They look the era. They're using the same gear. They sound just like it's like watching Fleetwood Mac.
I heard they're actually wearing the same clothes that Fleetwood Mac wore on the Rumors tour. No, I don't know if that's true. I don't know.
But let's go with it.
Let's just go ahead and call
It's
it true.
unconfirmed at this point.
L.A.
Well, it makes me think of Becca Bramlett, Granite City girl.
Granite.
But she was the singer for Fleetwood Mac for a little bit.
Like 15 years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, she was touring with Fleetwood Mac but dude, that whole family, Bonnie Bramlett she's just a legend, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing how deep that lady touched rock and roll. So yeah, her daughter.
15 years with Fleetwood Mac. I mean, there's a lot of singers that fill in for a band that don't last 15 years. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, a lot of singers that. Did David Lee Roth make it 15 with Van Halen?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, I think he made about 8 or 10.
Yeah. After the show, I'll tell you about the time he sold me a dime bag in Central Park. No, that didn't happen.
Because he ain't giving any away.
Right. I tried to buy it off of him. He's like, no way, dude, just sit down.
So that's the first one in February, tribute band, Rumors, the ultimate Fleetwood Mac tribute out of Los Angeles, California. So that's gonna bring a little higher ticket price on
It
that
is
one.
a little higher ticket price. Yeah.
It's like 30, 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that,
But that's okay. You followed up with a free show. That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because next is a free show.
All right.
The
What
next day.
Now, you're talking my language here.
Because Mardi Gras is on Valentine's Day this year.
It's the end of the world, dude. I don't know if anybody else has said it yet.
Wow. And, of course, they've got the Mardi Gras parade down there, and he's already talked about Sweetie and the Toothaches and John Shanahan going to be playing.
Yeah.
So that's going to be on the 14th of February, and it's free.
Nice.
Free.
Yeah, so a great place to take your sweetheart and not spend a lot of money.
So here you go. You need to check out the Mill. You've been hearing about it on this show. You want to check out a Mardi Gras parade. You just go down there on Valentine's Day, take your sweetie, you get to see the new place, take the kids with you, get to have a parade, and I got your Valentine's Day all worked out for you, Big Pin.
This sounds way better than the Valentine's Day when my RV burned down in my yard.
Yeah, that sounds a little better than that.
No, seriously.
Hurricanes, RV burn. I'd rather drink the hurricanes.
That is a serious one-stop shop there, like you say.
For
there.
sure.
And it's what was the word again? Free.
Right.
free.
Right.
Yeah.
And once again, if the weather's you've got the mill right there to like warm up in.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Stick your head out, see where the parade's at.
Which I heard it was going to be 70 and balmy that day.
Another shot of whiskey.
Perfect.
You know, you warm up a little.
Yeah. This all sounds like good stuff.
It's
I
good
can't
stuff.
I can't find a hole in your plot yet.
No,
Well, the whiskey's not free.
no.
That might be a slight hole in the plot, but
Well, you know.
I hear they throw it from the floats, though.
Okay, so
Instead of beads, they throw shot glasses of whiskey.
Shooters.
Well, maybe they're going to let that.
The employee of the
particular
city of
float-
Granite City does not endorse that.
And, you know, that particular float might not get in the parade. You know. I just heard a rumor.
yeah, I was at a festival a few years ago. It was out in Pennsylvania where during my buddy Andy Frasco's band, they had a guy with a like a bow and arrow shooting Jello shots, prepackaged Jello shots out in the crowd.
That would be smart. Yeah,
So, Sweet into Toothaches, what kind of band's that?
they're like a jump swing band. You know, a lot of
Wow, okay.
40s, 50s style music. They're amazing, amazing.
Dressed to impress,
Yeah.
folks.
Okay, so say 40s, 50s style. That means
Jump swing
Okay,
style. So
okay.
it's rock and
Yeah,
moving
yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, when you first said that in my mind, I went back a little farther, like Benny Goodman,
No, this is
and then I realized
it's
no,
more like Glenn Miller on
Miller.
steroids. Yeah.
nice.
Good stuff. Really good bop stuff. Yeah.
And then how about John Shanahan?
John's kind of a local legend. He's out of the St. Charles area. He's an amazing vocalist and player. He's in a ton of shows, and we're having some of them at the mill this year. The Peaceful Eagles Feeling Show,
Okay.
which is he's in that. He's in Captain Ed and the Catamarans, which is a yacht rock tribute show. So John's. Him and Ed Callison, you know, they're in a lot of these together. And so I'll answer the phone when Ed calls, and I'll say, Callison Entertainment East. Because Ed's in a ton of them, man. You know, he's in a ton of shows. That guy works his butt off. And John's amazing.
So that's the free show on Valentine's Day with
Yep.
the parade, the Mardi Gras celebration at the mill. Now, a week later, I don't think this is a tribute band.
No.
Love You to Death 3. Sounds like some shows we threw.
Well, I'd
Just saying.
Love you to, but will I be lost if I didn't go to Love You to Death 1 and 2?
I don't know. How can you be lost if they're going to love you to death?
Okay,
Multiple-
okay, touche,
multiple-
pussycat.
Multiple acts for this one. We got Lardy B.
Lardy B.
Marty B.
We got Crenshaw.
Okay.
We got Unhappy the Wicked. We got Morgue Mob. And we got more.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. And
more.
Yeah.
Oh, I love those guys.
Now, Crenshaw's a local guy. He's an Alton dude. You know,
Okay.
he's bringing this show. He's promoting this show and bringing it down there. And I don't know. I'm gonna guess it's more of from the name of the bands. I was thinking, well, this is kind of harder crypto rock stuff.
Right.
You know?
I was leaning toward the goth, maybe.
Yeah.
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 Just looking at the promotion for it. It says, prepare yourselves. Love You to Death is rising again. Dead Side Productions returns with a night carved from fear, obsession, and blood-pumping suspense.
Sounds like a great show.
See,
Yeah.
that sounds a little Edgar Allan Poe-ish, and he was the first goth, so.
Yeah.
An experience crawling straight out of the crypts
Man.
of the Dead Side.
There you go.
How can you go wrong with that?
And I'm there.
I am too.
I'm totally there.
I'm really anxious to see that show.
Yeah, it should be
What's the date
interesting.
on that one?
At first, I thought it might be like one of those like dinner art type
Yeah.
events, but I think I was off.
February
base
21st.
February 21st. There you go. At the Mill, which you can check out themill.events
Yep.
to find out all the stuff we're talking about. But this is, wow.
there. That one's a 6:30 to 11:30 show.
Yeah.
On the
Get your money's worth.
21st. On
Wow.
the 21st, yeah. So they need a little more time to get all those acts in there, and it says and more, so it's hard telling. Could be animated dead.
You never know.
They're still around.
Right.
So there you go on that one.
All right,
That's the 21st of February.
What is next? What could they possibly follow?
Oh,
Well, he's already touched on it slightly.
yeah, slightly.
And we're back to tributes.
Yeah.
We'll see if you can figure this one out. Peaceful Eagles Feeling.
Nice. Okay. That Don Henley tribute right there.
This is a rescheduled event, right?
Yep.
It was originally the 21st, now it's the 27th of February.
Yeah, these guys are really cool, and they came in last year. I've known John forever, and he's like, "Hey, man, what if we just do like a pop-up show on a Tuesday night and see how it goes?" And they were just getting that rolling, so they all showed up, did an hour of this show, spot on. And I was like, "Well, let's book the show." That's a great way to.
That is a good way to get
just
in.
do a pop-up show and see how it goes.
Yeah.
A lot of people showed up, loved them, asked us to book them, so we did.
So is Joe Walsh in this version? If they got a Joe Walsh guy?
You got to have.
Just
Yeah,
wondering.
I'm sure.
You have to.
Yeah, you got to.
Okay.
You
Who's
gotta.
thinking?
Who's going to sing the Glenn Fry part, though? No, that's the super high
So
part.
which bass player do we have? Is it Poco's ex-bass player, or is it Timothy B. Schmidt, or is it, what was the first guy's name? I'm drawing a blank.
Timothy A. Schmidt.
No, Ridin played the banjo, didn't he? Bernie. Yeah, I ran into him. Bernie Ridin down in South by Southwest one year. He was fronting a band called the Psychobillies. Really good band.
I've heard that band.
Yeah.
I was going to say I've actually heard of them.
Yeah, he was fronting them.
So there you go, an Eagles tribute,
Yeah.
right?
There you go. What else we got?
We're going to wrap it up with a show on the 28th of February, wrapping up February,
Yeah.
right? Children of the Void.
Well, that's an easy one.
That's an easy one.
And it sounds like a little Black Sabbath to me.
Whole lot of Black Sabbath.
A whole lot of
whole
Black
lot of Black
Sabbath
Sabbath
and
it is.
mixed in with some Ozzy.
Well, okay. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Which, to me, it's hard to. I know Dio also sang with Sabbath, but it's hard for me to differentiate between Ozzy and Sabbath. It all just,
Yeah.
It all sort of flows together. Although the Geezer's lyrics were a little stronger than Bark at the Moon lyrics, but whatever.
A bit of a discount on this ticket
Okay.
too. The Eagles was $20.15,
Right?
$15.15 for the Black Sabbath / Ozzy tribute. And I think Ray Ayers actually knows some of the members of this band,
Nice. Yeah, you can't go wrong either with some Sabbath, some good old Sabbath, man.
or some Ray Ayers.
Oh, yeah, exactly, exactly. So there you go.
There you go.
That
That's
takes us.
that's a February schedule. I got
takes
the
us-
March schedule
yeah.
too.
Well, before we do that,
We're going to talk about Harvest Drive.
yeah, absolutely. See, I had to get it in there.
What do you want to know about Harvest Drive?
Well, let's catch some people up because you were in the Doc Holliday band.
Yeah.
You thought you were retired.
Yeah, after
And then you get a
during
phone call.
COVID, Doc Holliday, like many bands, we decided not to go forward together and just retire. And I lost a good friend of mine who played bass in the band to COVID, and I thought, I'm done. I didn't pick my guitar up for like 6-7 months, and Jeff McGee, who had Harvest Drive, he started calling and saying, "Hey man, why don't you just come out and play a few duo shows with me?" And it started from there. And now Jimmy Baumgartner's in the band playing bass, and we have a blast. I tell you what, we're all at the age, all of us in that band, that we're out there to have a good time. And we're not out to prove anything. And, we're there for the people that show up. And it's a nice way to kind of be the last step. I'm 62 years old. Fingers don't, how long am I going to be doing this?
Now, I'm just curious because, you got a venue at your fingertips. But I don't think I've ever seen Harvest Drive play the mill yet.
We opened for T.G. Shepard back
Okay.
in October, and then we just played 2 weeks ago. We played a show there, us and 2 other bands. We were doing a benefit show that was
Okay.
booked there. Yeah.
Okay.
So we played the country part.
Nice.
So is that where Harvest Drive lands in the country era?
We play. Our tagline is everything from Merle Haggard to Poison.
Okay.
So,
I'd like to hear a country version of Unskinny Bob.
Oh
personally.
well, we do it like Poison.
Oh, okay.
We just change styles a lot. And,
Poof up the hair. You
the hairs, yeah.
throw a wig on.
poof up the hairs. No, I usually wear a cowboy
Won't
hat.
make it.
I'm the eye
Make it.
candy of the band. You know.
I knew that without saying. That goes without saying, bro.
I know Ray Warren is the eye candy.
So everything from Merle Haggard to Poison, I take that as everything from old school country to hair rock.
Yeah.
To the 80s
and
hair
we even
rock.
do some 2000 stuff, you know. And if somebody brings a song, well, nobody brings the songs anymore because our rehearsals are like, you get an email with a YouTube link. Hey, we're going to do this in 2 weeks. You know your part. And we just show up and do it. That leads to a lot of interesting situations sometimes.
Sure.
So there you go. That's the Harvest Drive side of our guest tonight, Ray Warren, who's the general manager of The Mill down in Granite City, themill.events, the website. And we've been talking to him about what's happening in February. I can never say that right.
Yeah. February.
I got in so much trouble for that word when I was going through broadcasting school.
Why did they throw that R in there? February.
Totally throws me off.
Me too.
Is it prescription or prescription? I don't know what to say. What's going on tonight
Is it
with us?
Percocet or Percodan? I don't know.
It's both. What's going on with our little area this evening?
Oh,
what's
you mean this weekend?
This weekend? Yeah.
Well,
We
a lot
already
of-
did this evening.
A lot of things probably going to get canceled, but I'll tell you one thing that's probably not going to get
Conservatory.
canceled. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's 37 gnarly years around the sun, which I talked to Gordon Loveboat about. Loveboat will be with toy husband and 86 red.
I love it.
Also his band Dracula Johnson. And Biff Gnarly is back, coming out of the grave. That's what it
Nice.
says here.
Nice.
$5 cover down at the conservatory. And as Gordon and I talked about, Biff Gnarly birthday bashes are a big deal in this town.
Well, it's not just a birthday bash. It's 37 gnarly years around the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so glad to see Biff back at it.
Yeah.
I think the last time I seen him was one of the Rock the Hops at Raging Cajun. And that one almost didn't happen for him, but they pulled it off. Also going on Friday night, Champagne Fix at Fast Eddie's, Flip the Frog at BFW, and Borderline Acoustic out at Baker's and Hale and Godfrey on a Friday night. Naked Soul out at Locke's Brick House in Bethalto. Madonna X tribute at the Wild E Theater.
Awesome.
They do a lot of tributes there, too.
Yeah, that's another great venue. Man, you're so lucky around this area to have so many good places.
They're putting the roof on one across the street from us,
Yeah.
the Grand Theater.
Yeah.
So they've been working around the weather and getting stuff done, though. So
There you go.
hopefully that's going to be happening
and then we could have Madonna X here.
I wonder why it's X. I'm
Well-
not a Madonna fan, but where's the X come from?
Well, now look, her early stuff, Borderline. Come on, she was hot. But once she hit Papa Don't Preach, I tuned out. No, I don't know. I have no idea.
She's a material girl. I mean, I understand that.
She's like a virgin.
She is like a virgin.
She's not even close to being like a virgin. She hadn't been close to a virgin since 1978. Anyway.
So there you go. That's
Hey, I do got one show I really want to pump.
Okay.
While I'm here tonight.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have our first improv show at the Mill,
Okay.
March 27th. Hope to see a lot of people there. We've done, we've had comedy shows. We've done dinner theater at the Mill. It's a great venue for dinner theater. And but I'm really excited about this improv show we're going to have.
All right. And tell us a little bit of how does that go down? Like,
So it's sort of like a What's My Line
yeah.
show.
And Drew Carey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
Whose line is it anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those type of shows, and then they're going to involve the audience at the end of the show.
That's what I was curious
Yeah.
about. Is it just players on the stage that are playing this game, or are they drawing the crowd in?
They're
with
drawing
it,
the
too?
crowd in.
That makes it a lot more fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who
Like-
doesn't want to laugh?
Yeah, you brought up like the dinner theaters, and I want to say this to anybody: if you see a dinner theater, and especially if you got kids and stuff, even if it seems like, oh, they don't want to do that, they want to play video games, I can tell you this: I can still very clearly remember going to the Admiral, the
yeah.
ship over there, and seeing these dinner theaters where the bad guy would actually talk to you.
Yeah.
And it was, as a kid, you're like, whoa. I mean, it was the 70s. Things were different. But, you know, it was like one of these, like, it's kind of like we talk about taking kids to the wrestling, man. Get them kids out there to see this stuff.
And the magic shows. We have magic shows. The kids eat it up.
And all of these things are very interactive type shows where the magicians, the comedians, the dinner theater people, they want to draw you in. The wrestlers, you know, they want to draw the kids in and make it fun. It's, you know, and that's the kind of memories that I think implant a lot more than ones and zeros flashing at you all day on a screen.
Yeah.
But I might be wrong about that.
No.
The ones and zeros have just said I'm wrong. Okay, sorry.
You're spot on. You're spot on.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that improv show and more. And he mentioned magicians. They had that recently, but you also mentioned wrestling, which sold out the mill. And there's a wrestling event from Pro Wrestling Epic coming up. Bittersweet Lockdown 4.
Nice. Yeah.
Down at the mill. So let me finish up here on a Friday real quick. We got the Strangers at Big Daddy's. We got Schaefer and Sims at Stagger Inn on Friday. Chris Ryan at the 1818 Chop House. They also have hubcaps for sale at that event. Roaming Home will be at the Cabin at Judy Creek. Cam Berger, 4:30 to 7:30 at the Barrel and Brew in Edwardsville, is where she'll be playing. And Hookie will be playing down at Deutsch Village Inn. We also got Road to Point Fest. Continuing on, Session 6, Ever Felt Nothing People Facing Infamy, Killer Burke, and A Rather Bright Light, happening at Pops in Sauget. And then Psychedelic Symphony, our friends, are going to be playing at the Soulard Art Gallery in St. Louis.
Nice.
On a Friday night.
Good
So that
for
ought to
them.
be good for those guys.
Yeah, excellent.
So now back to the mill, and we're into March now, and here's the band I brought up earlier that is probably better than the original band now. March 6th, it's a rock show, the ultimate tribute to Journey.
Yeah.
Brings you killer vocals, which that's better than what they got now. They actually are lip syncing, is what the rumor is.
Yeah.
And that's the music of Journey, and that's not an easy one to cover.
No.
So, have you seen this version?
I haven't seen them live. I've seen all their stuff. They're amazing, and they're out of Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all touring.
Nashville, Illinois. No.
Right.
Really close. Couple states over.
We've always said that somebody should open a recording studio in Nashville, Illinois, and then you could be a Nashville recording artist.
Exactly. I cut my record in Nashville last weekend.
You'd get a lot of bands wanting to come record just so they could say that.
So you can check out Journey on March 6th. That's a $22.15 ticket. And an 8 o'clock show down at the mill in Granite City. And then here it is. They sold out the very first time they were there.
Yeah.
Pro Wrestling Epic, Bittersweet Lockdown 4. They've been guests on the show many, many times because we like to branch out and show you there is more than just music. We love our music scene, but a lot going on in our area, and wrestling is so much fun.
Well, and it is one of those things that as we got into it and met some of the wrestlers, you realize how close it is to being in a band. You start wrestling in your backyard, you know, or your basement, and then you get good enough to go out and wrestle some, you know, and these people put into it the same way that musicians do, where you got, you know, you spend every penny you have just to look like Nacho Libre or whatever. You know?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna dig deep on this one because we know this side of it, right? Because we've talked to the Pro Wrestling Epic guys. How about you, Ray? When they approached you, what were you thinking? How did it all come about?
They approached me really early into managing the mill, and actually there were 3 or 4 promotions that came by when, you know, and wanted to do a promotion. First off, I thought, well, how could we do wrestling in here, you know, in this room? And when Pro Epic came to me, I looked at their stuff, and it looked like I'm looking at WWE, the graphics, the wrestlers, the on interviews, that he showed me on his phone. It's like, okay, you're the one we got to have. Now, how are we going to fit this in this room?
Right.
And they came up with a plan and boot the stage up next to the ring up next to the stage, and we put chairs around, and it sells out every time.
Yeah.
They've sold the place out every time. What a following they have.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just great people.
I was hoping that you would allude to that Mr. Mephisto.
Oh, yeah.
Has his stuff together.
Yes, he
is one of the wrestlers that put fear in us when he was here.
Well,
we didn't know if we were going to make it out alive.
So March 7th is the first time I'm going to see him wrestle.
Okay.
Lenny wrestle, because he's always just been the promoter.
Yeah.
And he's got this whole thing where he comes in on a gurney and wakes up, and I cannot wait to see it.
Yeah, and the reason I bring it up, I could tell he's 100% professional off the air.
Yeah.
And so when I heard he approached you guys, and I knew he would be able to walk in there and show you how to put on a wrestling show. Yeah. And it was good to hear that happen.
Hey, well, and to hear the success like that means, okay, so let's do this again. Right, and because if it's selling out, what more do you want?
Right.
If it's selling out and they're not trashing the joint in the meantime,
they're not.
Right.
That's great. I mean, you're mopping up some spilled beer at the end of the night.
You're mopping that up at the Fleetwood Mac tribute.
Exactly.
So I mean, so they happy to hear those guys, and you say, Lenny is he's one of those guys that he. Super professional, always. He gets back to. He's not one of these guys that I try to get a hold of and I'm a week later. No, he's on it, man.
No,
he's on his game. He is into what he's doing, and they do a good job. And a lot of fun. Again, if you haven't been to see any of the local wrestling, because there's like 3 or 4 different groups that we've had on over the years. This is a good one. There's several good ones that we've seen. Get out and see it, man, and take the kids. It's so much fun.
And again, you don't have to drive downtown. You don't have to go
Right.
across the river. It's in your area all over around here.
What's this, like 3 or 4 times now they've been there?
This will be the fourth one, and then we got 3 more scheduled for 2026.
Yeah.
Look at that, man.
Right. They are killing it. Pro Wrestling Epic. That's March 7th at the Mill in Granite City, the mill.events. If you want to look this stuff up. We also have links at cottonmouth.org. So I know you guys are used to hearing that one. So if you forget, just go to cottonmouth.org. We've got the links to all these as well, including March 20th. Here we go, Pigpen. You ready?
I'm ready.
Somebody to Love.
Okay, so this could be Jefferson Airplane or Queen.
That's right.
I don't know which one it is.
Or both.
That would be cool. It's like a Cash Petty Junction or whatever.
Yeah.
You're right about Queen.
Is it
Definitely Queen.
Okay.
But they do have Tony Colombo and the North County Sound Machine as part of the...
Tony Colombo. I worked with a guy named Tony Colombo for years over at Emmis.
That was the mob, dude.
Well,
Bring that up on the air.
It was a different Tony Colombo.
Your wife's going to be spinning in her seat. Oh, no, he's
look,
bringing
just
up
because the
past
pay
thing.
wasn't copacetic, that doesn't mean the work wasn't good.
I always had to delay turning your car on for 3 seconds.
You kidding me? I get my kids to do that.
Smart man.
So tell us about Queen.
Another great show. This one I have heard these guys, and they're amazing. Again, spot on rendition. I've been so lucky with the acts I've booked that have just been amazing, and these guys bring it. They bring it all. People are going to love this show who haven't been exposed to it over here.
Yeah.
Again, they've worked way out west,
Well, and this is one of those that this is the only way you're going to even get an idea what Queen was like.
Right.
They don't play anymore. There's, they can't play anymore.
Right.
So if you want to see what Queen was like, this is probably as close as you're going to get.
Yeah.
It's not that they can't play. It's just that their guitar player's a nuclear physicist now.
Yeah.
Well, there's only one Freddie.
So that was in my mind as we talked about the Journey tribute, the Fleetwood Mac too. Freddie Mercury. This is some hard vocals to cover, and not just the vocals, but if you're playing the part of Freddie Mercury, you can't just stand up there and sing it, man.
No, it's the whole thing.
You have to sell it.
You got to be Rami Malek.
Oh my gosh, and that is tough.
You have to have like fake teeth, because he had like obvious teeth.
Yeah.
when you seen Freddie. And to me, it always made it look like it was harder for him to do what he was doing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, though.
He was
Freddie
just
Mercury.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as we said to the journey, I'm like, well, that's some hard vocals. Steve Perry. Freddie Mercury's not just the vocals are like insane. You have to be Freddie. You
Right,
gotta be. You have to be
exactly.
putting out so much energy.
Sit down and play piano, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stand up and play piano barefoot with your toes.
And then they're going to do Bohemian Rhapsody.
So there. And again, this is
Have
one
you
of
ever
those.
been to a local bar and see anyone try to pull that one off?
I get mad when someone tries to pull off 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover because not one drummer does that Steve Gadd's drum beat, and it just makes me so angry. No, anyway, no, you're right. When you see a local band go, hey, now we're going to play hard, any Queen, really.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
any Queen.
Forget Bohemian Rhapsody.
Maybe Tie Your Mother Down.
That's what I was going to say.
That's
Tie
about
Your
the
Mother
one you hear,
Down, yeah.
I do Tie Me Kangaroo Down instead.
We Will Rock You.
See, but then
Maybe that.
if you don't do the...
You can see that at the football game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you don't do the, We Are the Champions with it, which, it just leaves you wanting. That's all I'm saying.
So that's happening March 20th, 22:15. That's reasonable for Queen.
And they will not leave you wanting. I guarantee these
will
guys are
not.
going to bring it. So
8 o'clock show. And where's this band out of?
I don't know.
Okay. They're touring, though, right?
They're out of somewhere west in Missouri, but I don't know where.
Okay. So they're kind of nearby.
So let me before he says the next band, let me ask you this. It just as a question on the whole scheme of it all.
Yeah.
We talked about like some of the bands aging and even the crowds are aging, right? So I found people that as we get older, they like the shows to start earlier. Have you had?
That's why we started 8 instead of 9.
As he said that it started
Yeah.
8, I thought, man, are you pushing some of these shows up because the crowd that's coming to see these are our age?
Start
right?
wrestling early. We first couple shows. I mean, I really screwed up. They were too long. I was letting them go too long, and it was getting to be 10:20, 10:30, and half the crowd was my age, and they're leaving. And I was like, okay, no more of that. Our hard cut time is 10 o'clock, unless they're still rocking to you. They're not leaving.
Yeah.
And then you can go till 10:20, 10:30.
Yeah.
And so Skid Row's last weekend they went to 10:30 and they held the crowd the whole time.
Well, and so a lot of these bands we're talking about were around in like the 70s. Skid Row, it's a 90s band.
Yeah.
So yeah, a 20-year difference in like
Right.
what the possible crowd.
Well, you guys are in the music business. You've seen it since COVID. I mean, nobody hangs around till 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all changed.
Well, a lot of that is because you can't get anything to eat that late anymore.
That's true.
Well,
100%.
A friend of mine's, he's like 30-something years old, and he goes, here's what we do. We go to dinner.
Yeah.
Your generation didn't go to dinner. You guys started partying at 9 o'clock.
Right.
We go to dinner. We want to go see a band. We're ready to go home at 10:30.
Yeah.
You know? And we do. We just leave and go home at 10:30.
Pigpen's wasted by 9 a.m.
I would hope so, yeah.
When it's working right.
Ooh, it's a weird one.
Sorry,
March-
baby. Put your muffs on, baby. Don't listen to this part.
Sushi leaves, right?
As soon as she leaves for work, I get out of bed and start my day.
All right. March 21st. This one's pretty easy.
right.
Dream Police and Riding the Storm Out.
There's a little REO and Cheap Trick. So that, you know, there are local connections on both those REO and Cheap Trick bands. Those are
So is this one band or two different bands?
It's the core of one band coming in from Kansas City, and then they switch out 2 or 3 members for the second part of the show. So in total, you have about 7 people coming.
nice. But there's probably like one setup where there's not tear down time so much. It's just
They'll do the set of Cheap Trick, 20-minute break while they're doing their little changeover of stuff, and then they'll do the REO stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, Scott Nienhaus would make a great Rick Nielsen just because he has enough guitars.
Oh. You guys know Mike Newman? Do you know Mike Newman down at Jimmy Gravity? Oh, my God.
I do not.
He looks just like Rick
Okay.
Nielsen. So I used to run a meme on my Facebook page with a picture of Rick and a picture of Mike and go, have you never seen these two in the same room?
Right. J Gravity?
Yeah, he works at J Gravity.
Yeah, that's one of those fancy pants guitar stores guys like me can't afford to walk into. No, I'm just kidding. They got great stuff there.
So that's March 21st, Dream Police and Riding the Storm Out, 8 o'clock show, $25.15 for that one. And they've already mentioned the final show of March, and that's Improv at the Mill. A comedy show performed by Echo Cat.
Yeah, they're a big improv group out of St. Louis. Bunch of young kids all having fun. Well, young kids to me, I'm sure they're in their 20s and 30s.
Right.
And so there you go, Pigpen. Nice wide variety of stuff.
That is a huge variety.
He did mention magic. They've done a couple magic shows down
do
there.
4 a year.
John Johnson, part of that.
Yeah.
So an Altonian. And there's one more, though, I have to mention.
All right, let's hear it.
And this may be a brand new one getting put out there. May 8th.
All right.
It's going to be Tracy Inman Band and BC Homegrown.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting little combination
Isn't
there.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and great, all the way around there. You
Yeah.
got some guys who are writing some songs and putting it together and doing it right. So, man, okay, I like Tracy and I like old Brad Cummings a lot. Those
Yeah.
are two
Great,
really super
great.
nice guys.
I'm getting
Great guys.
goosebumps because I was at the Lincoln Theater show and BC Homegrown pulled off what we've never seen any band do. And Tracy Inman's the same. He's done
both-
things that we've never seen anybody
that's
else
part
do.
of what it is. These
Yeah.
guys have accomplished things that have made me stop and go, wait, how did you do that?
Yeah.
They're doing things that
Yeah.
Again, with the Lincoln Theater, they were Soul Shine Groove, or they were sort of a cover band. The Jammin' Eagles
Screamin'
band,
Eagles.
Screamin' Eagles.
Yeah.
And then one day they said, you know what? Instead of being a cover band, we are now originals. We're called BC Homegrowns. We're going to put out an album that nobody's ever heard, and we're going to sell tickets to a show
At Lincoln Theater.
at Lincoln Theater,
And they
which holds
packed
about
the place.
400, which is about 400 people, to sell
Yeah.
400 tickets to a show to an unknown band playing original music is amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
And Tracy Inman.
And then let's throw Tracy on top of it.
I was going to say, you got Tracy Inman, who just decides one day he's going to be a songwriter, doesn't even play guitar, nothing, just...
He'd always been writing songs on paper, but he didn't have a band, didn't play in instruments, but he found AOK Studios and started talking to him, and now he's on the, what do you call it, tunes on the jukebox.
Basically
Touch Tunes, yeah.
Touch Tunes.
Grammy nominated, right?
And he even told me when he got on Touch Tunes, he said, man, getting on Touch Tunes is bigger than being Grammy nominated.
Yeah.
Right?
He's like, it
Right.
took more work to
Right.
do this. And
Well, that nomination's what got him on the Touch Tunes.
it is.
So.
Yeah.
That's what finally got their attention. But again, here's a guy who just found the right producer, had the right songs, and then he put the work in on the backside. And now he's playing guitar, got a band, and he's out there doing it, man. And this guy just...
That's an exciting show. That's going to be a big one, man.
Yeah, so that's May
pretty
8th
awesome.
coming up. I'm excited about that. Hey, speaking of some local acts, let's hit some Saturday before we scoot out, if the weather allows. The
right.
Pugin Experience will be at Cat Daddy's from 7 to 10. On Saturday, Miller Floyd will be at Bossa Nova from 7 to 10. We got Naked Soul, 1:30, and Step Brothers, 7 o'clock. Naked Soul's got a better shot if the weather is what they say on that one. Backwood Burden, 7 to 11 at Bakers and Hale. Psychedelic Symphony out at Doc Holidays and Cottage Chills, which is open again. Glad to see that. We got Rock Bottom down at the Pump House. Tracy Inman Band's going to be at the Franchise at 8 o'clock in Wood River. On Saturday night, Benbow City Shuffle doing Chico's from 7 to 11 in Wood River. Joey Miner up at George's Pub and Grill in Jerseyville. We got Scott and Friends at the Grafton Winery from 1 to 5, and Catfish Willie 7 to 10 at the Bloody Bucket Saloon in Grafton. We got CJ Sounds at the Grafton Pub from 4 to 8. Bobby Rollins, 8 to 11 at Wigglers in Holiday Shores in Edwardsville. And I don't know how to say this one, Pigpen, the Wild E Theater. Don Was in the Pan Detroit Ensemble.
They're actually having Don Was.
Yeah. That's what it says.
You know who he is.
I don't.
I know who he was. He was Don.
Was Not Was. From
was
the 80s.
not was.
Oh,
Okay,
oh,
there
yeah.
you go. It's a
New Wave
Don
band.
was.
He's an amazing producer. Like, he's won a million Grammy Awards. He's
Wow.
I can't believe he's at the. That's
At the-
awesome.
at the-
That's
at-
amazing.
yeah.
See, here we go again.
If it
a little
holds up.
theater in Edwardsville, and you get like I went there to see Angel.
Yeah.
They're
I'd
coming
be
back.
listening-
They're
Yeah,
coming back.
this farewell tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, see, sometimes with Wildy, I don't get the cancellation notice.
Right.
So, and that does happen from time to time there with Wild East. So last I seen, that's what was going on. We also got Cottage Hills Wrestling Alliance on Saturday at the American Legion, their home base, 7 o'clock. Eleanor and the Rigby's at the Stagger Inn again from 5 to 8. Dustin Coleman at Big Daddy's in Edwardsville, Lanny and Julie. They're going to be at the Barrel and Brew in Edwardsville. Blackwater Acoustic out at the Judy Creek Cabin, and Matt Heaton at Pavilla's in Granite, and Pete Kreshock Project at the Neighborhood Social Club in Granite City. If everything holds out, the House Shakers will also be playing on Saturday from 7 to 11. Route 66 Kickstand down in Granite City, and Destroy the Future at Charlotte Pub.
Hey, wow. Destroy the Future. I think that's already been done, bro.
Yeah.
I think we got that under control, man.
So you know the song Walk the Dinosaur. Everybody walked the
Yeah. That was not.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
And so Don was and Paul was not. No, I don't know. So, hey, man, so glad you came down. Ray Warren has been our guest. Not only a member of the Harvest Drive Band is the biggest thing we talked about tonight, but also we talked a little bit about how you run the mills and what's going on there. Seriously,
Check out the website, themill.events.
Yeah.
And if you want to set up something, you can do that. There's a contact right there. So
do a
you
lot
can-
of rentals,
Right.
weddings, bar mitzvahs,
more than music.
circus, clown, school. We do it all.
Wrestling, magic. Yeah, they got
I
it
really
covered.
appreciate you guys having me on tonight.
Circus
problem.
Clown College.
Circus Clown College.
Sounds great, man.
It's called It.
It was not. All right. Hey, well, thanks again for coming down. Again, Ray Warren, general manager of the Mills. Check out all of these shows we talked about. So many good ones. Such a wide variety. There's no way you listened to all that and went, I don't like anything there. Right. If so, it sounds like you don't like a lot. Anyways, maybe that's a you problem. Check it out again, themill.event. Thanks to Ray Warren for coming down. Big thanks to Halpin Music Company. Sponsored this show.
Yeah.
10 years now. They've been letting this jackassery go on. And really, all we do is try and support the local music and art scene. So they're a huge part of
They are.
They've always been
Over
a huge
60
part of that.
years they've been there. So.
60 years.
Great people, yeah.
Also, Mr. Matt Van Boris, the sexy Mr. Matt Van Boris.
sexy.
He's just he's the eye candy of German insurance. I don't know.
Jersey
That.
Girl, right?
And the poor girls who work there right now are, what are you doing? No, anyway, Matt Van Boris of Macias Insurance and German Insurance. Easiest insurance man I've ever had. Does a great job. Thanks to them for sponsoring the show for so long. Thanks to Mr. Dennis Laird for always being here on a Thursday, even when I'm not. And thanks to everybody for listening. Whatever you're going to do this weekend, stay warm, but still get out and support local music and art.